I'm going to quickly show you some images to set the scene for my presentation. People are dying to know about crowd densification, which is exclusively for you, the members of the Global Crowd Management Alliance. Welcome. These images have been chosen from the recent Itaewon Halloween tragedy to show how my research evolved when my passion for crowd management was further piqued. Those of you who know my background know that this image has intrigued me for years. It was taken at the Who disaster in 1979, exactly 5 days before I walked into the Perth Entertainment Centre to work my first concert ever, Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour. So why do shoes and clothes come off in a crowd crush? Well, Fruin said in 1993 that they do. But here we are some 30 years later, and still no one can tell me why. What has this to do with the Itaewon Halloween tragedy of 2022? Stay tuned, and you may well find out. I'm Alan Wilson, the crowd control guy, and I love crowds. This is the genesis of what started me undertaking this extensive self-funded research. It's a screenshot, unadulterated, which I sent to a friend in Sydney. A quick visual reply came back highlighting this, and a note asking, "What does this say?" As some of you know, I posted on LinkedIn asking for help, as I do not speak Korean. LinkedIn came back with this reply. The sign says, Waikiki entrance. The arrow indicates, this way. To me, this was a big clue as to what happened within this crowd tragedy. Some may being totally inquisitive, I went around the corner for a look. I played a few videos and spotted this. This red thing down here in the bottom right-hand corner. What is it? I was pretty certain I knew what it is, but I do like to fact-check everything, so I decided to flip everything around to have a look from the other side. Another video, and another angle. This image was taken the night before, but hey, it looks like a regular queue to me, and they're obviously using a red tensor barrier. Except that it's twisted and not straight. Has to be straight, guys. It's a queuing thing. On the right of this image, this queue probably takes 1.2 or 1.5 meters out of the width of that particular laneway, which is a significant factor when you're planning to host large crowds. Here is the same queue with the back of the red tensor barriers, looking at it from the original angle. Now let's get orientated and focus our attention on some key areas, the main one being the laneway that was in all of the media. It's around the corner of the Waikiki Beach pub and slopes down to the right, starting at the bottom of the screen on the right of this picture. The illegal structure that was mentioned in the press is right here in the middle of this picture and is attached to the back of the Hamilton Hotel. Here's the same structure on the left, looking from the opposite direction, some 6 months before the Itaewon tragedy. It's only been there since 2013. Read the press articles about why it is an illegal structure and why it was allowed to stay erected for a decade. Try doing some forensic crowd analysis whilst you're here. Count the road tiles if you want. You'll find 14, and each is 300 millimeters square, which equates to a usable width of about 3.2 meters. That's only wide enough for one car to use at a pinch. Question: how many people can you pack into this area before the crowd kills them? 2 weeks after the Itaewon tragedy, here's the same illegal structure. It's gone. The main route through this part of Itaewon goes east to west and is known as the Itaewon World Food Street. This is the entrance at the east end where the white delivery truck is located. Note this 4K PTZ push-to-zoom camera. PTZ means someone can control what that camera views And here it is looking up and down the road that goes to the residential area up above. It is not focused on the entrance to the Itaewon World Food Street. What initially drew my eye when watching this video is this. What is it? This barrier is the only thing preventing vehicles from entering this street and is used every Friday and Saturday night. And yes, the warning sign that is hanging down was facing into the entrance the whole night of the Itaewon tragedy. Now we'll focus on the first laneway over here. So here we are at the top of the east laneway. Note the long banner on the right, which has been there for what seems like an eternity. Your reference point is in the middle of this picture and is the red circle around the decorative lamp. Later in the night, next to the long wooden fence, this is what was underneath your red reference point. They're flogging Alice bands with flashing LED light cat's ears. They're cute. Let's take a look along the whole of that wooden fence, starting at the top of the laneway. The top, you can see the long banner, tables, chairs, people in costumes. The middle, located lower down from the group you saw near the light. And at the bottom, at the raised concrete area, which you'll see in a moment from the reverse angle, there are makeup people, like this. On the left, the female is bent over pulling up her makeup table to get it out of the way of the fast-moving and very dense crowd. On the right, focus on the male using his phone because he is helping to move that makeup table out of the way of the crowd. How do I know he's helping? Because I've seen the video from his phone. At the bottom of this laneway, on the lower right of these pictures, is the main access route from the Itaewon. This subway station, on line 6, is the main form of public transport to Itaewon. Intriguingly, the last train was at 11:16 p.m. Remember that time? 11:16 p.m. on a Saturday night. Did the time affect the movement of the crowd? I mean, when did the fatal crowd crush occur? 10:15 p.m., was it? Crowd-wise, one lane, the green arrow, is moving slowly down the stairs and being forced around the corner to their right, whilst 3 very orderly lines, the red lines, are going straight up the stairs on the right, except they're all going absolutely nowhere. It's totally gridlocked, and they cannot exit due to the crowd density at the street level. Let's move to the main laneway and see what we can observe. What can we see? Well, that depends on what we are looking for, what we're looking at, or what we can observe. I bet right now most of you are looking at the crowd at the top of the laneway where the fatal crowd crush occurred, right here. But what's this? And this? Infrastructure-wise, what's this? And this? And this? Oh, that's right. It's not officially an illegal extension to the hotel because it doesn't have a roof on the top. Try doing a dynamic risk assessment of this laneway right now on what you have just observed. There's a challenge for you right there. That's forensic crowd analysis in action. Meanwhile, what the hell is this? You tell me. The east laneway, which is around this corner on the right, is the laneway closest to the Itaewon station. Attendees were aged mainly under 30, which is highlighted in the death profile. Itaewon itself is an area renowned for people dressing up when they go out. Oh look, there's someone who's dressed up over there on the right. I know, let's take a picture and video him because that's a great costume and he's totally in character. He's also making a fabulous entry statement to this year's Halloween festival. Fact, this someone is a 119 rescue worker who cannot get through the dense crowd or past the rubbish and crates stashed under the silver pole on that street corner to help those who were killed more than 30 minutes earlier. Remember my fascination with shoes? Fast forward over 40 years until now. In Itaewon, over 250 pairs of shoes were recovered. 1.5 metric tons of personal objects, including all those shoes, clothes, and fashion accessories, along with mobile phones, were also retrieved. 158 people died. 26 of them, 19%, were from overseas, from 15 different nations. 65% of the people who died were in their 20s. I've been totally engrossed in the fact that 65% of those who died were female. Why? Why did so many females die in this crowd crush? The answer to that question is one of many that is considered in my presentation next week. All I will say is this. People live in a world that operates in 3D, and the world in which they die also operates in 3D. How the shoes and clothes come off in a crowd crush has always intrigued me, but I believe I now know why. That was just a quick look inside the canopy of a crowd. It's like peeking inside a tropical rainforest where many creatures live, under and interact inside the roof-like canopy. I'll be further proffering my thoughts and ideas in May at the Crowd Safety Summit in Sydney when I premiere the full version of Inside the Canopy of a Crowd. Join me then when my focus will be on how crowd waves can self-propagate and why people are then completely at the mercy of the crowd itself. I'm Alan Wilson, the Crowd Control Guy, and I love crowds. Thanks for joining me. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on February the 21st at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, or on February the 22nd at 5 a.m. Australian Western Standard Time, as I present People Are Dying to Know About Crowd Densification. Then we'll see how many people you can pack into one area before the crowd kills them. See you then.